he never seems to get flustered. He always feels in control. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, when he was younger, is kind of known for extending plays a little bit, and that kind of reminds me of Penix.
Welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle, here with my host today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say hi, guys.
If you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment and let us know what you think.
But other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in this video, we'll be taking a look at quite possibly the most underrated quarterback prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft, Michael Penix Jr., after leading the Washington Huskies to a national championship appearance where they unfortunately fell short to J.J. McCarthy and the Michigan Wolverines, has kind of flown under the radar recently, I feel like, when it comes to NFL draft conversations surrounding quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy obviously has risen up draft boards across the country. For some reason, Michael Penix Jr. has just kind of been left being not talked about very much. So,
I mean, I think it's great for a team that's not necessarily super high, like somewhere in the teens, that's looking for a quarterback that can start right out of the gate because I think he's very underrated as far as this draft class goes. This draft class is deep on a lot of positions. Uh, Quarterback is one of them, so I think he's got a good shot of going somewhere actually decent, not one of these absolute dumpster fire franchises. Um, Not to name any names, Bears, uh, and have an impact right away.
what do you think the reason is for him kind of not being considered a top five draft pick along with those other quarterbacks like, Caleb Williams, possibly JJ McCarthy, Drake May, Jaden Daniels? Um, for whatever reason, Michael Penix isn't up there with those four guys recently. Joe, do you have any idea why that might be?
I One reason I want to say is like injury history. I know he's a quarterback, like you, not as obviously beaten up as linemen or linebackers and stuff like that. But I think the injuries plays a factor, and then I think I think a lot of the questioning, which is unfortunate considering most other quarterbacks don't get this, but I think a lot of it has to do with DeBoer too. Like is right. Like I like DeBoer. I knew him before he was the head coach. Like I knew of him before he was the head coach at Washington. But like his success happened so fast at Washington, where he turned that program into what it is now, and then now he's at Alabama. Like I wonder if they're possibly giving DeBoer more credit as a coach than they are the quarterbacks, such as Caleb Williams and other people, or McCarthy or Jaden Daniels. So I mean, that's the only one I can really think of. That and the injuries. Other than that, I don't. There hasn't been nothing that I have seen personally that would significantly drop him compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he has that injury history from his time in Indiana, the three season-ending injuries, two ACLs, I believe. I think another reason he may not be up there with like Caleb Williams and like Drake May and maybe not Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels does have good receivers, but Michael Penix had three, maybe four NFL caliber receivers that he was throwing to. Most specifically, Roma Dunze, who's I mean, you could say the same for Jaden Daniels with Malik Neighbors, but Roma Dunze is a consensus top three wide receiver in this draft. Michael Penix loves to throw the deep ball, and Roma Dunze knows how to catch the deep ball, run it down, jump over people, really good contested catcher. So I think some NFL scouts may be thinking Michael Penix got bailed out by good receivers at times. I personally don't think that's the case. I think he also made some really good throws that you can look at and be like, that's NFL caliber. But I could see some scouts maybe being a little bit scared of seeing a guy who's throwing to four different NFL caliber receivers all game. They could maybe think that he's getting a little bit of help, obviously, from those guys out wide. But
What about Joe Burrow?
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, he had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. He had significantly less playing time than Michael Penix.
No, that's a good point. I mean, that's why I'm saying like you could say the same for Jane Daniels too, with obviously Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. both gonna possibly. I mean, Malik Neighbors guaranteed number one or first round pick, and Brian Thomas Jr. very well could be as well. So I'm not saying that's definitely what it is, but I could see maybe that also coming into play as well when you're evaluating him as a prospect. But I want to kind of get into our NFL comps now. So, Aaron, go ahead and you can start off with what do you think that Michael Penix Jr. could be at the NFL level? Like, who do you think his play style and talent most resembles?
I've got two. First one is Geno Smith. The way they move and
Wow.
throw the ball is very similar. Um, they have very similar college stats. You kind of mentioned this before we started recording that Penix had like over 1,100 pass attempts in his last two seasons at Washington. Um, Geno Smith's last two seasons at West Virginia, he had over 1,000 pass attempts. So
Jeez.
kind of similar backgrounds, lots of gunslinging kind of high flying offenses in college. And then my other sort of comp is I don't know if you're gonna like this one, but it's Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
Um,
actually, I kind
he
of thought
just
that too, to be honest.
he never seems to get flustered. He always feels in control. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, when he was younger, is kind of known for extending plays a little bit, and that kind of reminds me of Penix. If you, I kind of watched some tape over uh, the Texas game in the college football playoff, and Texas was getting so much pressure on him, and the reason they won that game is because he was able to buy that little extra time, move out of the way of some pressure, and then find the guy downfield. So I think he's going to be really good at stepping up in the pocket, not moving into pressure and finding the open receivers downfield.
Yeah, no, I think that all. I mean, that's all stuff that I had down in my eval too for Michael Penix is that he's pretty good at obviously throwing the ball downfield. And moving around in the pocket as well. Then Aaron Rodgers was also kind of someone that came up whenever I was thinking of NFL comps. Not the guy I went with, but I could kind of see where you came from when you put him down.
He's got he's got elite arm talent, dude. He might be
Yeah, no, he
like the
does,
best pure passer in this draft,
and he makes it
if you
look
ask
easy
me.
too. That's the thing is like he's
Yeah.
got such fluid motion when he throws the football. But Joe, what are kind of your NFL comps for Michael Penix?
So one that I have, don't know how people will take this, but someone I kind of he reminds me of is Vince Young. Like Vince Young was, I mean, I'm not talking about NFL Vince Young and everything that happened, but like Vince Young had a great last year of his college career. Like the first 2 years, there wasn't much of him. I don't even know if he even played that much. But his last year, the when they beat USC in the Rose Bowl to stop the three-peat, those guys. But yeah, like Vince Young was a guy who could run. He was obviously mobile. Um, he made it work in college and stuff. I don't think the way he played though that he preferred to be a run first quarterback. I think he wanted to throw the ball more. Um, and with Penix, I mean, boy went out there and ran what 4.46 at the pro day.
Yeah, something
Like
like that.
no one, no, I don't care what anybody, no one outside of the University of Washington can say they knew he had a 4.4 in him because
No,
why? You
yeah,
never saw it. He never
yeah.
needed to. Like
Maybe
kind of
Indiana.
with Aaron Rodgers take. Like he used his legs to buy time and extend the play, but he was always looking to throw the ball. Like he didn't want to run unless he had to. And so in that sense, like that's why I kind of think of him as Vince Young. He made it. He ran because he was a weapon running, but I don't think he was looking to run first. And so, granted, I do think that Penix has more arm talent though than Vince Young did coming out. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I mean, couple things that I had down for Penix is that he makes on-time throws look fairly easy. like those scripted plays where it's like a 5 yard out or a 10 yard out or something like that. He seems like he hits his receivers right in the chest every single time as they're hitting that out route right in stride.
And
As
that's with
well
wider
as
hashes too, so that throw gets
yeah,
easier in the NFL.
yeah, and he's also good at making the downfield throws down the sidelines as well, though, away from the safeties and cornerbacks. When the receiver beats the corner, and then the safety's got to come over and help. He's good at like kind of popping it right into that little area right in between them. Um, so with that being said, that's kind of why, as far as like play style and ability, uh, he reminds me a lot of Matt Stafford, um, as well as like
Another guy I thought of.
the grittiness. Like I love the grittiness. That's really the main thing that drew me to Matt Stafford is watching the national championship where Michael Penix was just getting the hell beat out of him, play after play after
Like
play.
watching every single Lions game with Matt Stafford at quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was like watching every single Matt Stafford game with the Lions. It was just play after play. The dude getting, if he wasn't getting sacked, he was getting hit right after throwing it, thrown to the ground. Pretty sure he was grabbing his side. I'm pretty sure he got hurt that game and just played through it because the dude's a tough son of a bitch. Which reminded me so much of Matt Stafford, but then the arm talent as well, where he's just got a cannon for an arm, and then he can be accurate when he needs to be. But Matt Stafford could also, break away for a couple runs here and there with his legs that Michael Penix, whenever he needs to, can also go ahead and do. So Matt Stafford reminded me a lot of, or Michael Penix reminded me a lot of Matt Stafford play style wise, with Tua Tagovailoa injury concerns. So that's my like little combo right there. So when Tua was coming in, everybody was concerned that like, oh, can he hold up in the NFL? Is he going to get hurt too much? And right off the bat, it looked like that was going to be an issue because he did get hurt, like his first 2 seasons, concussions, the whole nine. Um, I could see similar concerns being for Penix, not for the same reason, because the injury concerns for Tua was size related. This more so being just injury history. But Tua had that too coming out of college with the hip. So injury concerns, I see a little bit of Tua, but obviously play style, it's a lot closer to Matt Stafford. So
Sure. Although, I mean, I guess you could kind of argue that were the injury concerns because of his size, maybe, Penix being a little bit bigger, he doesn't have like the predisposed, hip injury thing. It's sort of a different kind of injury concern. Not necessarily that he's going to hold up. Maybe it's just does his body break down because he's a little bit bigger.
well, I
Also
think
can go say that he did play his last whole year healthy,
last two
where
seasons.
Tua was
Yeah,
2 seasons. Yeah, I guess his whole career at Washington. But other than like Tua was banged up with something every
that's
single
true.
year that he was at Alabama that he played.
Yeah, no, that's true too. Um, No, like I said, for different reasons, for sure. Tua's concerns were more so size related, whereas Penix's maybe also size related, like you said, Aaron, just for a different reason. But we've seen big quarterbacks in the NFL all the time. Like, I don't think that's really the reason they have injury concerns. I think it's the two surgically repaired knees that are kind of concerning to them. So, but
Hey, that's more common nowadays.
that is true. That is true. Unless y'all got anything else for this episode of the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Circleberg here with my co-host today, Aaron and Joe. Go ahead and say bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Other than that, deuces.